upcoming activities that we will have in the project. And follow us on LinkedIn, because that is where we share, of course, the most important aspects and developments. So now a few words on the agenda. Can you move to the next slide, please? So we're having first a short presentation of forwarding, so you know about the context in which we're interacting here. Also a short presentation of why we're looking here into these national initiatives. And then we are having different speakers from European countries who are involved in national initiatives in their country relating to emerging technologies. And we're very glad to have you all with us to see these different perspectives from countries in Northern Europe and Southern Europe. So we have very different perspectives, and these initiatives also relate to different technologies. So we're looking forward to very interesting presentations. And then we're having a presentation from João Ferreira on the European approach, seeing a bit more about the foresight on emerging technologies and Industry 4.0, 5.0, I'm sorry. And after that, as I said, we are having this discussion session where we will be able to answer a lot of different questions. And at the end, a short wrap up, and we will announce a few upcoming activities in the frame of forwarding. And now let me pass the word to Barbara Bento from GAC, who is giving the presentation on the forwarding project. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. So I will just give you a few lines about the project Forging that we are undertaking. So what is Forging? So it's a 3-year Horizon Europe funded project. It started in October 2022, and it is coordinated by INL, which stands for International Iberian Nanotechnology Laboratory. So what is Forging? It aims to build a sustainable multi-sector and multi-stakeholder forum to support the uptake of emerging technologies that are human-centric, that respect planet boundaries, and that maximize the benefits for all parts of society. Next slide, please. So the Forging methodology is based on a value-sensitive innovation journey to assist the growth of emerging technologies from their early stages to their uptake into society. So we want to develop new technology pathways. We want to respect the environment and society, and also to be attentive to the human aspects in alignment with Industry 5.0 to support the uptake of these novel technologies. So the idea will be to explore 6 technological pathways to transfer ideas and to help industry navigate through issues that are related to the deployment of the use cases, of the usability of these technologies. And why do we look at 6 frameworks? It's because they are those that were defined by the European Commission in the Industry 5.0 policy brief in January 2011. So these 6 frameworks are human-machine interaction, bio-inspired technologies, digital twins, cyber technologies, artificial intelligence, and technologies for energy efficiency. Next slide, please. So you may wonder how we achieve all these goals. So at Forging, we have set up a forum, which is a stakeholders community of experts that go from academia to industry, but also policymakers, and of course also civil society, so society at large. And what we do is that we organize several interactive and co-creation workshops that bring together experts from academia, and we include here, it's very important, social sciences, and also industrial practitioners to co-create all together in a multidisciplinary approach the uptake of this responsible technology for the future of society. Next, please. So in the frame of forging, we have conducted a consultation to identify research and innovation programs on emerging technologies across member states, and also to assess their potential alignment with research and innovation strategy at European level. So this report provides an overview of the research and innovation initiatives that were adopted in very different member states, so across Europe, focusing on novel technologies. We have consulted 14 European countries, and this mapping is also showing insights to national bodies in charge of research and innovation programming, also organizations that are interested in novel technologies, for awareness raising, for co-programming of activities, for stakeholders' involvement and co-creation to exploit together possible synergies. So now we continue with the presentations. Eva, I leave you the floor.
Yes. Thank you very much, Barbara,
You're welcome.
for these insights. And I'm reminding everyone, of course, if you have any questions also regarding forging, do not hesitate to put them in the chat. We'll be very happy to answer them afterwards. So let me introduce our speakers. We're moving now to the presentations from the national initiatives. Can we move to the next slide, please? And these initiatives, as I said in the beginning, represent really different technologies that are implemented through projects in different EU member states. Some are combining different technologies in the research and innovation activities. So we're very happy to have different speakers with us. Let me just very quickly check if we have Solja Sulkunen, who is our first speaker, because I haven't seen her.
Yes, I am present.
Oh, you're here. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So, Solja is currently working as project manager for the PEDIH project. So that stands for Finnish AI Region European Digital Innovation Hub. We're very happy to have you with us, and we're going to let you share your slides, please, because we haven't integrated them.
Sure. Thank you. Just a second.
Yes, please.
Unfortunately, I think I will keeping my camera off due to internet connection issues, just to make sure that you will hear the actual parts of the presentation and not just looking at my face freezing.
We can see your slides now.
Okay, excellent. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's very nice to be here and participate and network with new friends within the EU, and I hope for much more. A little bit about the EDIH I'm representing, called Finnish AI Region. We are the so-called AI hub in Finland. At least we're trying to pursue that position here. Very in our core in Finnish AI region, we offer expertise regarding artificial intelligence, augmented reality, high performance computing, and cybersecurity. The main point is to accelerate and deepen the adoption of AI and the supportive technologies in SMEs. We are not so much focused on the lower digital maturity or early phase companies at the moment, but we're focusing on the bit more mature companies that might have some trialing done with AI, but are looking for more expertise to support their own development work and have the abilities to really deploy fair expertise into their own development processes and activities detail at delay at all. We have selected 3 focus verticals that we concentrate on. The first is smart cities, covering anything from smart mobility related things, built environment to energy sector, for example. Health is the second one. We support a lot of medtech companies here in the Helsinki Uusimaa region, including Helsinki, Espoo, and Vantaa, the big cities in the southern area. We collaborate a lot with another Finnish EDI called Health Hub Finland around this matter. They are focused on health data. And then the third sector is digital service industries. And in our case, this means that if you cannot locate your company to either smart city vertical or health vertical, we will take you into the digital service industries vertical. And that application houses IT companies, security companies, edtech companies, just to name a few industries. Most of the services are free of charge. There are, I think, one exception at this point, but it's still very heavily subsidized with the help of the state aid funding at the moment. And in Finland, all of the 4 EDIs, besides enjoying the Commission's Digital Europe funding, we also get state funding, 30% that covers 30% of the operations. And in case, we also get funds from the Helsinki Innovation Funds and corporate partners. And here you can see our consortium on the left, named as service partners. These are the organizations that provide the actual fair services. The service 4 big universities from this area, from the southern Finland area, Aalto University, University of Helsinki, Metropolia, University of Applied Sciences, and Haaga-Helia, University of Applied Sciences. Then we have the big cities, Helsinki, Espoo, and Vantaa involved. Kira Hub is the expert organization for built environment sector. Metropolia Helsinki XR Center is the expert organization for AR and XR related matters. CSC is our HPC node, so high performance computing node in Finland that supports companies that need a lot of calculation capacity, offering Lumi computer, supercomputer for their service. EIT Digital helps us out in securing and accessing financing. Then we have collaboration partners on the lower right corner. HUS is providing test environments and data for health solutions or companies. FKAI is the research organization, Finnish Center of Artificial Intelligence, set up by VTT, National Research Institution, Aalto University, and University of Helsinki. So with them, we work together so that they provide us the latest research insights, and we turn them into actionable services. FAIR. Arcada is taking care of the ethical evaluations, and Technology Industries of Finland is helping us out in lobbying for these innovation work and services in the field. And then on the top right corner, we have our associated partners. At the moment, we have Microsoft, Varian, ABB, and Google supporting us together with Helsinki Uusimaa Regional Council, and we're still looking for more corporate partners to really ensure the continuum of FAIR. There we go. Well, this is a general EDI description, but this is we in Finland, all the 4 have identified how we support the companies, SMEs. We have divided the services into 3 categories, including general support, meaning all the open events, all the open trainings, networking events, matchmaking, and so forth. Then we offer intensified support, which includes all the...
Excuse me to interrupt you, but we can still see the slide on the partners. Is that normal?
No, I moved forward.
What I thought.
Let's check. About now, maybe I'll just share this. I think it's
not changing for me, please.
It is changing now. Perhaps I'll keep it like this and it might be a bit better. However, the next level of support is intensified support, including the digital maturity assessments and AI maturity assessments. In our case, we feel like the DMA is not really supporting our cause since we're focusing on more mature companies, but together with VTT's AI maturity assessment tool, we feel like we are actually able to measure the real impact of FAIR services. This also includes basic consultation, road mapping services, and financial advisory. But then on the third level, where we offer special support, this means customized expert services for individual companies, SMEs, and this includes everything from developmental support to testing environments, both laboratory and university environments, further financial services, thesis work, and other research support. I have a few cases here that I'd like to show you. I hope you're able to see from the health and smart city verticals. First case is Ajatella, a radiology company utilizing AI basically to help out doctors to diagnose different illnesses or cases. And this has been, Ajatella has been with us since last fall, and so far they've gone through different kind of consultation from different viewpoints, both from the AI perspective, but also from data perspective, how to manage data, collect data. They have been forwarded to test environment services at the moment, and then we're discussing with different financiers for them as we speak. Another case is comes from the smart city environment, and the company is called Piila. They are moving vehicles around Finland, and they're now expanding to other Nordic optimization platform existing, but they are looking for ways to further optimize that platform with the help of AI. And this case is done in collaboration with another Finnish ED location innovation hub. And then I have a few notes about the good practices, as we were requested to share some key thoughts, what works well for us at the moment. And in our case, our customer management and intake process seems to be working out well. We all the customers who want to register to our system submit a registration form, and we call them for a screening interview, and then represent the case to all of the consortium members, all of the beneficiaries, so everybody can raise their hand and say if they think one or more of their services could support the company in their development case. We found customer manager, customized services, but we also have service managers that are like product owners, and their responsibilities is to create a service card with the up-to-date information, how to access the service, and thus kind of create an input to this customer flow between FAIR consortium and the beneficiaries and other ecosystem organizations. We work very heavily with the industry, so even if the industry is not actually part of the consortium, through the associate partnerships and so forth, we are able to really get the latest substance and domain related information and assistance for these customer cases. And then we offer AI pop-up clinics that seem to be very successful. We have conducted so far with Sweden, an ED from Sweden, and this allows us to really start collaboration internationally very easily. It's a low-key way for international companies to access our AI experts and get their feedback on their business case and how to move forward with deploying AI in concrete. And very shortly about the pop-up clinic. So our AI experts will actually evaluate the company's service concept and how they plan to utilize AI. And if they have all the prerequisites to utilize AI, they cover cases like, is there actual business-driven need? Is there actual business potential? How's the data taken care of? Where does it come from? Is it quality data, how to refine the data, how to manage it, and so forth. And then what kind of skills are within the company, what kind of skill sets would the company need in order to move forward. And all the companies will get this written feedback form after the session from our experts. And this is typically a good way to trigger other services from either from the company's home ED or from our ED. We offer this as a kind of pop-up clinic day for other hubs or different kind of organizations, and even for events from FAIR. And this is free of charge for everyone. From Finland, one example how we do things and some key takeaways of the good practices that we've noticed to work well. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Olja. A very rich presentation. Great. Thanks a lot. As I said, we are collecting any questions in the chat, and we'll come back to you for responses in the moderated discussion session. So I'm inviting now our next speaker, whilst we're setting up the slides on our end, who's Cecilia Barrel. So very glad to have you here in our workshop, Cecilia. So Cecilia is the project manager of the Production 2030 project, which is a Swedish platform for Industry 4.0. She's a senior expert in industrial research and innovation and senior advisor to Swedish and EU policy in industrial research. And I'm glad to give now the floor to Cecilia to let us know more about her project. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, and nice to be here in interesting company. So yeah, I'm Cecilia Worrell. I'm based at the Technology Industries of Sweden Association, which is, you can see behind me here. And just for your knowledge, we represent 4,500 companies, both in manufacturing and in you could say ICT technologies in general. So that's sort of my background. You can switch to the next picture. And I was asked to present a program that I've been the program director for since 11 years, actually. It's called Production 2030, and it was launched already 2013. And since the thematics of this morning covers, I would say, Industry 5, because it's a lot of human interaction that you have on your agenda from the Forging program, this project that I will tell you a bit more about has been running for now 11 years, and we have 2 more years to go, 1 more year to go. So it will be 12 years in all. And so we started this program when Industry 4 was a new concept, and we're now sort of entering into the last phase, and there's a new industry paradigm, 5.0, with a lot of the human aspect, which I think everybody agrees is very, very good. Anyway, Production 2030, can this be sort of like, what can you learn from a European perspective? What can be disseminated and used in other countries? I would say everything and nothing. It depends on what leadership, what kind of funding you have in your country, and so on and so forth. Sweden has a lot of big manufacturing companies, big global players, very many of these, like Scania, ABB, Atlas Copco, Volvo Group, etc. Very many large companies, considering the size of our country. We're only 10 million people. So we have a lot of research and development in these companies in Sweden. So we have a big repository of R&D, which is good news. We have a smaller academic sector than many European countries, and we have a very small RTO sector than many European countries. So that's kind of our preconditions when we launched this program. We were able to secure more than 100 million euros over these 12 years, which is, I would say, the length of this program is unheard of. It has never been tried in Sweden before, so that's first thing to consider, the time frame. we had 12 years of planning space ahead of us and secured funding for many, many years ahead, which is very unusual, and it creates a lot of, I would say, it stimulates innovation thinking because you can really plan short-term and long-term all the time. Half of this funding came from the government in Sweden, and half of it came from industry through, time and co-funding and so on. I would say that a great success of this program, it's been very successful, is that we've had a very good team. We've been actually almost the same people from day one. Myself, my colleagues in this program have been the same team, and just to say a bit about the resources necessary to work on a program of this size, I have been the full-time employee, working probably 1.5 jobs during these years. And then the rest of the team of 8 people have been already funded from academia or from RTOs and even from authorities. So we didn't have to pay them anything, which made life easier. And then I would say, which is also unusual for this Swedish perspective, and I don't know what my colleagues in this seminar have in your countries. I mean, I know Finland pretty well, but the others are more diverse. But to have very strong support from the funding agency for us was critical, and they were sort of part of the team from day one, with contributing with ideas and developments and securing that we were not doing doubling things. So Production 2030 is the name of this program. The vision was, of course, both competitive and sustainable manufacturing in Sweden. We have been making things in Sweden since the Middle Ages. As most European countries, we have that history. And then I think in the late 90s, early 2000, manufacturing and production became sort of out of fashion. So we had to secure that our industries based in Sweden could, secure their competence, secure research qualifications, laboratories, and all of that to be able to go forward in Sweden with their future objectives. We wanted to both increase the competitiveness of these companies that we were working towards, of course, but very important, we wanted to increase collaboration. And that's something I think when you listen into the European program Horizon Europe and similar arenas like that, collaboration is always sort of a key word. You say it all the time. And I think all of us in this seminar are very aware that this word keeps popping up everywhere. But when you work with it on a daily basis, it's very difficult because all these actors, industry, academia, RTOs, and the funding agencies have extremely different agendas, extremely different. And they're also, governed through different mechanisms. You all know this, but it plays a big role. So the trust and the team was very important to set from the start. You can change the picture. Next slide, please. So the key, this is maybe I think the key slide for this discussion, that running an innovation program for 12 years, you can do it in so many ways. We had the time frame, we had the funding at the starting point of our program, but from sort of, I would say almost day one, Production 2030, the project team, which I was leading, we thought, I would say we thought big. We wanted to do things in parallel from the first day, because I think traditionally when you have an innovation program or R&D program of some sort, you think, okay, let's make calls, let's listen to the industry, what are their challenges, let's do calls, let's have projects, and then no, that goes on for 10 years. But we said early on, no, let's do 4 things in parallel, because our vision and objective had to do with competitiveness and sustainability and collaboration. We cannot only rely on, putting projects on the table all the time. So from day one, we did these 4 things in parallel. We have calls and have funded projects of various sizes. From day one, we saw that the project results had to reach the SMEs, smaller companies, fast. How can we do that in a good way? So we did that. 3, skills and advanced learning. How can we use the projects as a basis, as a foundation to rejuvenate and insert new knowledge and really drive the know-how in Sweden in manufacturing technology. So we raise the level substantially. So we did that in the skills and learning instrument. And then the fourth instrument, we call these 4 instruments. The fourth instrument is about analyzing ourselves and the world around us, and also set up international contact points. So we are aware of what's going on in Europe, what's going on in the US, in Asia, new emerging economies like India and so forth. So we did that. And I think then the takeaway from my perspective to you is to do things in parallel, because industry exists in a very complex environment. And research today, I would say different from a couple of decades ago, research and innovation investments is a market. And I think every sound country in the world wants a part of it. Everybody is competing for companies' investments in R&D. And we have to be aware of that in Europe and in individual countries. All right, so we had no template, and we sort of built the program as it was running around. Next slide, please. And this is just to show you a little bit of what we have been doing under these 10 years. When it came to the project side, the dark blue part of this circle, we have funded lots of projects, 150 or so. More than 800 companies have been part of it, and we've been working with 50 R&D organizations. And but also on top of these 150 projects that were they were initiated through calls, we also did a lot of top-down projects, more strategic, that we in the program office, together with our supervisory board, we know a lot of things, and we talk to a lot of people, and we travel around the world constantly. So we could also suggest a lot of initiatives, like conferences, like study visits, like analysis around AI in manufacturing, analysis around sustainability in manufacturing, analysis of skills need in SMEs and things like that. Moving clockwise, the SME part, we knew that we needed to reach the SMEs because they are the subcontractors, they are the suppliers of the big companies, and the whole ecosystem around manufacturing needs to, grow and have more knowledge and grow their know-how in various ways. So we founded something called technology workshops, which is a way to very early on, when projects get started, the first couple of months, meet up with the project consortia, see where they were going, and extract, what could be the valuable insights, valuable tests and demos, valuable knowledge areas through the projects. And then we launched this to become sort of a one-day, half-day, ideally, workshops where we, the market was the SMEs. First couple of years, we did this, physical meetings in various places around Sweden. Sweden is a very long, big country, as you know. And then after the COVID pandemic, we used Teams, and now all these technology workshops are digital, and companies from all over Sweden can attend. And it's been also a very big success. More than 1,500 companies have been participating, and that's a big number for this type of kind of sort of challenging, complex knowledge areas. Okay, so the third, moving clockwise, the third quadrant is about education, and that's something we really hold very highly, because I think you can consider this, all of you out there, that if you get some kind of, you get some government support for R&D and what can be your legacy? What can you leave in society, in the system, after the program is shut down, after you guys leave, when I will be doing something else next year? What can we leave there that really is sustainable? And that is education. So we have a group of 13 universities in Sweden that all educate engineers and tech. So these 13 schools collaborate together in like a group, in a team, and they provide the PhD program in production in Sweden with circa 150, 200 students rolling each year. So we have supported this PhD program with quite small amount of funding, but the funding that we gave them was used to, renew the curriculum, develop, 30 or so new courses this time tied a lot to Industry 4, tied a lot into the manufacturing and technology industries, future pains and gains in their development, and also introducing new innovative areas in the curriculum. And that's been doing super well, I would say. And the students that have, graduated and are now PhDs, I would say they're about 65 or so, maybe say about 70 from these years. They are now disseminated in companies. More often, large companies acquire these talents, or they're, moved on in research, become senior researchers, or some of, reaching the professor stage within a near future. So we really contributed to inserting a lot of people with very high knowledge level into the system. And since we have these 13 schools collaborating together under one roof, so to speak, with the Production 2030 PhD program, all of these students, they create an alumni and they know each other, and they will keep in touch and work together throughout their careers. So we've created sort of bridges between academia, RTOs, and industry through these students that move on and become adults and become seniors, and so on and so forth. On top of that, we also developed the basic education in engineering, in the engineering schools. We have inserted new knowledge areas there as well. And last but not least, we have an upskilling program called Ingenjör 4.0, which is separate platform, short course modules within the Industry 4 areas, where anybody out there, preferably I would say engineers at work, can take a course module in 5D for manufacturing, or collaborative robots, or additive manufacturing, or AI in manufacturing, those type of thematics. And I will show you a slide at the end. And the fourth quadrant about the analytics and internationalization, looking out, what's going on in the world globally, what's going on in Europe, other countries we've been visiting, Finland, Spain, Japan, China, India, US, so on and so forth, to really get to know what's going on in the world and match that from a Swedish perspective. Okay, so this way of working that I'm showing you now can be replicated if you have a good team and you have the sort of authorities backing you on doing more with the same amount of money, and not only doing the project and calls. So next slide, please. Some of the obstacles which you asked us to list here, Charlotte, prior to this seminar. Of course, if you have a long-term engagement, you have a horizon of 12 years, it's hard. We've found it very hard to keep, I would say, the engagement of our supervisory board, steering group, which were mostly industry people, to keep them on board for all of these years. We did manage, and we exchanged the supervisory board chair 2 times during these 10 years. So we've had little change even there, but nevertheless, that is an obstacle to keep the interest and the engagement of that sort of more strategic level, to keep them on board, so to speak. And also, of course, innovation funding from government is a policy instrument. It comes from politics. It comes from who is in charge of the country, who is the prime minister, who sits in the various chairs at that time, who makes these decisions in a political level. They are exchanged every 4 years in Sweden. And this changes all the time. And, with some government, people and government types, you get a big engagement in research. And I've even met the former Swedish Prime Minister several times in my role, because he thought this is so important, and now we support it, and we'll give you more funding and all of that. And then you change government, and then the music changes very much, and you get lower funding and more critique and more skepticism from government. So you have to balance that by going back and forth. I would say scaling projects, scaling success stories is also always very difficult. And I've been part of these type of seminars in the Horizon Europe space for 20 plus years. And that's always a problem, because in Europe, we have good universities, we have good, academics and so on, and researchers, but we seem to get stuck in the valley of death all the time, because we don't have the enormous amounts of free capital that is required to take results to the next level. We're all painfully aware of this, and you can look at the United States. you know, they had this huge bubble of venture capital compared to Europe's small ball in comparison. So that's the situation here. And that goes for turning projects into business as well. Scaling learning and education, we are trying to do that with which what I told you, we have our own PhD program with 150 students and 13 universities. And now that Production 2030 is coming to an end in next year, we are now trying to sort of move that whole apparatus into the next funding program that is now just started. So we'll see how that goes. The same goes for scaling the SME actions and my Finnish colleague talking just before me, you said something about your AI workshops and labs were free of charge for SMEs. That's a wonderful thing to do, I think, but we all know that that has a time limit because government changes, funding changes, and to keep that rolling for a long time, which is required to really get change, that is very difficult. So those are some of the obstacles. Next slide, please. Impact, you can see from the slide, very short time from research to getting implementations in industry because we took results from projects into SMEs and into education. So that took only maybe a year or less. Getting the production and manufacturing concept, what can it be, into society. We really talked about production a lot. Communication has been our biggest, I think, asset here to talk about what is production, who does production, what are these companies about, and who are the people that makes it all happen, to have these presented as heroes and in communication and making films, so on. We've been doing a lot of that. And also, I think, making production an attractive job. You can change the next slide. I know my time is running out. Some examples, go through this really short. Next slide, please. Sustainability, we'll look at that. Next slide. Here are some of the sort of qualifications from companies. What can we do as a company to become more sustainable? Of course, remanufacturing, resource efficiency, OEE, those type of very sort of familiar objectives. It's a very difficult concept, as we all can, I think, see. But here are some of the thoughts around that. Raw materials recycling, social sustainability is also a big area in Swedish industry, and we have taken that into consideration. Next slide, please. Here are some of the workshops that we did. This is what it looks like. You go into the Production 2030 website, and you can click on one of these technology workshops and pick one or pick them all and attend and discuss with other SMEs, which has been very, very successful. Next slide, please. And this is Ingenjör 4.0, the reskilling, upskilling program I just mentioned, where we're launching now more than 30 course modules, and they're all within the Industry 4 scope. And it takes about 20 hours to fulfill a course, and it's about 4 hours in 5 half days spread over a month or so. And I think the unique thing, you can learn anything from YouTube, you can learn anything from, you know, any site today if you want to, but these courses actually have, there's a teacher present, there's a dialogue area, you can ask questions, you can answer a quiz, you really acquire learning in a very effective way. And there's a pedagogic model here that is not present if you just, you know, go to YouTube or something. So that's been a great value. And you know, for example, Sandvik, they have lots of engineers in India. They have taken a lot of these courses and find it very useful to sort of upskill themselves, being scattered out around in the world. But also many engineers in Sweden have been taking these courses. And they've also been, the concept has been exported both to EIT, the European Innovation and Technology Institute, and also to some countries in Europe that are doing the same things. So this has been picked up by some other European friends out there. Next slide, please. And as I said, communication has been super important. We do magazines, conferences, lots of things on social media and so on. And having our own conferences, which have been quite successful, we've been gathering about 150, 200 people each time in Sweden. That means that we can set the agenda, we can invite the speakers, we can, you know, bring in people from international arenas to talk about the importance of research, collaboration, production, sustainability, future, jobs, human factors, and all of that. So that's been an important way of for us as a program to make ourselves heard, become sort of a brand and a platform for knowledge. So that's great. That's probably how you found me to participate here today. So I think that was my almost my last slide, and this is my contact information should you want to talk to me more about this or something like that. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Cecilia, for this very rich presentation. We see that you have done a lot of things during these past 10 years, so great project. I'm inviting now our next speaker, who is Cristina Ramos, and we're going to share the slides on your behalf, Cristina. So Cristina Ramos is the responsible of the drone community of the Digital Catalonia Alliance. She also works as Digital Innovation Manager at the i2CAT Foundation. And we're glad to have you with us, Cristina. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation and for giving us this opportunity to attend this event today and to inform the other consortium stakeholders about this initiative that we have in Catalonia. So you can move to the next slides to start with the overview of the project. Basically, this Digital Catalonia Alliance is an initiative promoted by the government of Catalonia and i2CAT Foundation. And what we are doing is to have an alliance of technological communities. Nowadays, we have 6 so far, which are IoT, artificial intelligence, drones, cybersecurity, blockchain, and new space. Nowadays, we gather more than 580 members, and all of them are part of the quadruple helix model. And as an initiative, we also collaborate with different funding programs. We try our members to apply to this kind of projects. And we also have other partners in different strategies promoted also by the government of Catalonia, that are the ones that you see in the lower part of the slide. And we also collaborate with the Digital Innovation Hub for Catalonia, and as part of this project that we have in the region, in order to provide additional services and activities for the members that we have in the region. So you can move on to the next slide, in which I explain our mission and vision, which is basically to gather all this economic digital sector in this alliance to provide knowledge and guidance in this kind of emerging digital companies that we have, in order to support them to consolidate. We are not offering any kind of services per se to provide money or to accelerate companies in particular, but as a sector, in order to allow them to be more mature and more consolidated technologies adopted by the consumers. And if you can move on to the next slide, you will see that Digital Catalonia Alliance is the result of a European project. In fact, it was an Interreg program in which we presented Digital Catalonia Alliance in our action plan. And it's been identified a good practice in itself, but also we took inspiration from different regions in Europe, also working in this case with drones and IoT and different kind of technologies, in order to think about what we could do in this Digital Catalonia Alliance. So this wanted to show how the Digital Catalonia Alliance is also a good practice in itself, because we have identified that we have found the replicability of our project, thanks also with Aerial Uptake project. If you move to the next slide, you will see that in Catalonia, we presented the communities that we had back in the day when the project was active, with were our IoT and drone communities. And they were used among some other best practices to fit the Polish action plan from Polska Karpackie region. And they did mention that they were using our best practices in order to do what they call the Drone Space Valley. And yeah, we had the chance to be involved in the to fit the definition of technical opinion of the European Committee of the Regions. And we have recently found out that this Drone Space Valley was created, and they took our inspiration, our best practice of inspiration. So we are very proud of having found the replicability of the community that we have in Catalonia. And we can move to the next slide, in which I'm presenting the obstacles. The fact is that we have many challenges and many obstacles. And although there are some common challenges in the alliance, some of them are particular for each community. I've been working in the drone sector for quite some time now, and I'm more familiar with their needs that are more related to lobby and to move on the regulation in order to ease their access to virtually work. So this is the very first obstacle for my drone community. But there are other ones like IoT. In fact, they seek more project-oriented activities. And so this is what we're trying to do with the services and activities that we do as Digital Catalonia Alliance. Since this meeting was more related to AI, I also want to put here some examples that the artificial intelligence community has nowadays. And we were told many times about the talent retention, which is a key element for them. It's not an issue to find junior profiles, but for companies, but how to retain this talent that you have put some investment on them, you have trained them, and when you have this talent ready to work for you, they move on to a big corporate or to another company. So this is a huge problem for our ecosystem in the region, but also the adoption of AI, because with all this boom that AI has had in the last few months and the last year, I would say, all of a sudden, everybody knows how to work with AI. And this is like a huge competence for the ecosystem that we have in the region, because they are specialized in AI. And all of a sudden, everybody knows that it's capable of doing things with AI. So yeah, this is also a big challenge for our community, but also ethical issues, data protection, all these issues more related to social acceptance of AI, and also how to match the research ideas or the research lines with the real market needs. And for this, we work closely with clusters, sectoral clusters, for instance, in education, construction, or different kind of vertical sectors, in order to do this kind of match with the needs of the market, the final consumers, and the activity of the members that we have in the Digital Catalonia Alliance. But we have also done some kind of matchmakings in between the research, the academia, and the members in the SMEs that we have in the Alliance. Also, I mean, in cybersecurity, they have similar issues compared to AI. But I would say that cybersecurity in this case is not as seen as a technology which is needed, but technology that needs to be more disseminated in a way that everybody sees the must of having these services, these digital services secure. And yeah, this is what we are trying to do with this. Yeah, you see that we do many things. You can find them in our project website. And I really invite you to go to our website and take a look about our ecosystem and the members and the activity that we do. And yeah, let's talk about the results. We can move to the next slides. And we have, I mean, nowadays we know that the community has more than 580 members. In the last year, when we did the final event of our DCA to close the year, we knew that we represent the 45% of Catalonia's digital economic sector. But the number of members that we have nowadays is slightly higher. So the expected impact for 2024 is to increase this representativity that we have in DCA. In the next slide, you will see also, we move on. Yeah, the networking. Yeah, networking is a thing that we try to do with, I think that there's an animation in this slide. I'll see, yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. Since most of the members that we have in Digital Catalonia Alliance are specialized in either one of some of the technologies, they really need to interact with each other in order to provide new products, new services, and this is what we're trying to do. We try to connect the members that we have in the ecosystem. So last year we had 300 connections in between different kind of profiles, some of them with technology providers, or in between the potential demand of the technology and our members. This is the figure of by the end of 2023. And nowadays we are well over 200 something connections. So we expect to have even more connections by the end of 2024. If we can move on to the next slide, you will see the economic impact that we achieved by, there's another, sorry, thank you very much. This is the volume of business generated in 2023. So you see that the figure is 2.5 million euros. And this was the figure at the end of 2023. But today, in the mid 2024, we already know that the expected business volume generated in 2024 is well above the 7 million euros. So we expect to keep on increasing this figure by the end of 2024. And that's all for my side. I think that pretty much I mentioned what I wanted to cover. If you have any doubts and if you want to contact with Digital Catalan Alliance, please let me know in the chat. I will put my email address, the website of our project, and very pleased to answer to your questions and to collaborate with you. And if you find our initiative interesting enough. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Christina. Thanks a lot for having presented this interesting work you're doing, and also good to see that this is already having a very fruitful results in terms of replicability. So that's great. I'm inviting now our next speaker, Alexey Petrushin, to come to the stage. So Alexey Petrushin is researcher at the Rehab Technologies Lab of the Italian Institute of Technology. And his main work focuses on the development of novel robotic systems and IoT-based solutions for healthcare applications. Alexey, glad to have you with us. You're presenting the RAISE product, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Eva, for presenting me. Thank you all Forging team for inviting for this workshop, and good afternoon to all guests. So today I want to talk a bit about the RAISE project. Some words about the origins of this project's funding. After pandemic, in Europe was launched a recovery plan, so-called Next Generation European Union. So the RAISE project is a part of this recovery plan. It has a budget of 109 million euros and has a participation of 13 research institute foundations, research centers in the medical structures, 4 small medium enterprises, 8 large companies, and it focuses on the region of Italy that's called Liguria. Next slide, please. So the few words about the structure of the project to understand how it's organized. We have a hub that mostly focuses on the managing of the project, and then the project itself is divided in the 4 main areas, so-called SPOC, and which focus on the urban technologies, on the healthcare, on the environment, and technologies for the ports. Then there is a SPOC number 5 that is more focused on the technology transfer and dissemination. Next, please. So we are interested in the SPOC number 2, which is divided in different work packages. It's work packages that focus on the intelligent environments, digital twins, rehabilitation system, image processing for diagnostics, and work package number 5 that is managing of this whole SPOC. And the RAISE project, or my part of the RAISE project, is work package number 1, which has under projects, because it's a quite big project by itself. Next slide, please. And these projects we can divide basically in project 1 and 2 that focus on the devices and sensors and different strategies for interaction between the subject and environment. And the projects 3 and 4 in blue that focus on the sensors and AI algorithms for the measuring the state of the subject. And then there is a project number 5. This project is aims to bring together these different technologies from this project and make consortium to work all together as a consortium. Next, please. So the work package 1 as main goal has to create the smart environments and AI algorithms that would be able to support the fragile people. The smart environments, they have a number of different sensors. It could be environmental sensors, could be sensors that measure the bias signals. And together with specially designed algorithms, they are capable to do telemonitoring of this population, the health assistant to detect the pathology or progression of the pathology, as well as preventing the risks as a fall, for example, now, which is very critical for the older generation. Next, please. So at the beginning of the project, we ask ourselves how we can actually design this smart environment. And since there are no best practices, so the guidelines for designing of the smart environments for the older population or the fragile population in general, we developed these guidelines that focused mostly on the person itself, taking into consideration their needs. And as the main parameters of this smart environment, from our point of view, should be this environment should be personalized, person-centered, co-created, and obtrusive. And the data that is collected from the sensors should be reliable, continuous, and provided in a real time. And if we talk in general about the sensor network, the system should take into consideration the privacy issues and being scalable in order to be applied for the larger population. These guidelines, they are also available for the general public, for everyone who is interested in designing the smart environment for the fragile people, and were published in the article that reference you can see on the slide. Next, please. Talking in general about the difficulties in the project, I wanted to share with you two difficulties that I encountered. The first one is the number and heterogeneity of the partners of the work package. So it's called the work package now, but it's not a classical work package of European project, because it has a very large consortium of 12 research groups, 6 medical partners, different hospitals, and 1 company. And the challenge was to bring together these people that have a very different perspective, and to make them work as one organism. And together with their ideas, we had to create some environment that can enclose different technologies. And a couple of slides before, you saw that was transversal project number 5. And this project was created in order to make this system work as a one, as a consortium. So, and the suggestion for everyone who deals with the project of this complexity, also to consider to dedicate some resources for creating these connections between different groups. Otherwise, you're risking to have the project where everyone acts by itself, and at the end, you don't have a project. You just have small elements that don't relate it to each other. And as the second challenge, it's more bureaucratical issue, because here on top of the usual requirements that we have, need to consider the national level regulation, the European regulation, the internal rules of our research institute. And the procedure for the budget spending are quite complicated. They require number of documents, and which in its turn requires a lot of time to understand what kind of documents you need to justify the spending of the budget. These documents, they should have forms. In our case, it could be in Italian, could be in English. So since different departments are involved in the creating these rules, it takes time. So here, what lesson learned and suggestion for everyone who deals with this project that have a considerable bureaucratic level, to start asking about how to proceed with placing the orders since the day one of the project, because when actually you will need to spend the budget, you can find out that you need a lot of time to understand how to do it. Next, please. Yeah, in general, of the goal of the project, of the mission of this work package, it's to develop the technologies to assist the fragile people, and at the end of the project, we aim to deliver the healthcare platform. This platform will be tested with the 3 main use cases, with the geriatric population, the pediatric population, and people that suffer from the multiple sclerosis. Next, please. Yeah, and as the last slides, I wanted to show you some parts, some results that we have already at the moment. So here on the picture, you can see our lab. It looks, you don't see the whole environment, but it looks more or less like a normal room, which is actually also one of the guidelines that the technology should be as less obstructive as possible. And in this demo, 4 different sensors used. It's RGB camera. It's the surface sensors for the bed and the chair, and the floor that is has a surface that also sensorized. Next, please. So here I want to show you a small video. You can see on the right top video of the person that is sitting on the chair. Underneath represented the chair pressure mat, the bed pressure mat, and the very bottom you can see the activity on the floor that is tracked and represented. As now, for example, person sits on the bed, and you can see that the sensorized mattress is activated. This representation on the right side runs in the lab, so it's in local. And on the left side, it's represented the platform, which is online, available worldwide. And you can see that here also the parameters are tracked in the real time. We have some measurement of the change of the state of the person in the central part on the top, where it's written activity, when the person changes from the sitting, laying, walking. Some measurements of the metrics, such as mobility index, other metrics as a number of steps walked distance, the instant speed of walking, average speed of walking. So all these different parameters that help to understand how active the person, and use this information in the future in order to evaluate the health status of the person. With this demo, I would like to finish my presentation and thank everyone for their attention.
Thanks a lot, Alexei. Great to see what technology can do in the healthcare field. So thanks a lot for this interesting presentation. I'm now inviting João Farinha to share his presentation João Farinha is a policy analyst at the European Commission Joint Research Center, and he is a part of the Competence Center on Technology Foresight. So we're looking forward to this interesting presentation on the European approach. João, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Eva, and thank you very much for the invitation. I hope you can hear me well and can see my screen. So my name is João Farinha. As Evan mentioned, I work at the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. And just a couple of notes, the Joint Research Center, or JRC, is the science and knowledge service of the European Commission, and our mission is to provide independence, evidence-based knowledge and science by supporting EU policies to positively impact societies. We are actually located in 6 locations across 5 European Union countries, and we have more than 2,600 staff members, making us the second biggest Director General in the European Commission. So a lot of science in the European Commission, and sometimes when we are outside, we are not that aware. In particular, I am part of the EU Policy Lab. It's a unit that has almost 10 years now. And the unit sits at the Directorate of Innovation in Science and Policymaking inside the JRC. And the EU Policy Lab is a special unit, so it's dedicated to collaborative and experimental space for innovative policymaking. And we orchestrate expertise from our colleagues across the Commission and across the JRC in 3 main disciplines. So foresight being one of them, and the 2 others are behavioral insights and design for policy. And we apply collaborative, systematic, and forward-looking approaches to bring the scientific knowledge of the JRC in particular into the EU policymaking process. We also facilitate, a significant part of our work is to facilitate collaboration between the policymakers themselves and the scientists, and also, and as I will explain with my examples today, a variety of external stakeholders. The president from the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has put strategic foresight in the heart of the policymaking cycle at the beginning of her mandate back in 2019 and ending soon. The coronavirus pandemic and then the Russian aggression on Ukraine just highlighted the need for strategic foresight and anticipation. And our president has then mandated the Vice President Šefčovič to lead the Commission's efforts to embed strategic foresight into its work and to support the transition to the green, digital, and a fair Europe. And so the Commission is strengthening its culture of preparedness and evidence-based anticipatory policymaking. And here at the Competence Center on Foresight, we try to give a significant push to this effort. We have a significant number of projects and activities that cover almost all areas where foresight is relevant. But in the last 2 years, we have been giving a stronger focus on these 3 areas that you see here at the screen. So the sustainability transitions, where the most recent strategic foresight report published mid last year sits. There's also a newer area on emerging risks that range from financial crisis to natural catastrophes that we are actually developing. And then the one that brings me here today, which is the technology foresight. We at the Competence Center on Foresight do not consider a process, we consider ourselves as process experts, so not content experts. So we support mainly our work not only across our organization, so the JRC and the other Commission services, but also strongly on external individuals and organizations. And our operation and business model is kind of hybrid. So we not only have supporting activities that are ongoing, such as the Megatrends Hub that you can consult in our website. There's also some tools that have been developed to support foresight work, but we also work significantly on demand and on tailor-made methodologies applied to specific projects. And the ones that I'm going to share here today actually belong to this later category. So what brings me here today is to talk a little bit more about the technology foresight work that we have been developing. This is not a new area inside our unit at the JRC, but on the last 2 years and on the basis of a collaboration with the European Innovation Council that I will explain in more detail, we have straightened up our work. And we started by trying to define clearly the scope of our area of activation of work, to also understand where other colleagues working on technology and technology assessment mainly, and on developing even further understanding of where technologies are heading, try to understand how our work could have synergies with them. So for us, this is a systematic exercise aiming at the longer term future of science, technology, and innovation. And we use sometimes interchangeable these three concepts, but they, of course, are significantly different. And as I've been mentioning before, our main objective is to support the Commission to make better informed policy decisions. We cover a broad range of technologies, and we analyze not only the applications and the fusion of its technologies, but of course also the societal context of where these technologies are developed and applied. And we try to anticipate technology and research needs, the technology applications themselves, but also other correlated policy initiatives and including standardization needs that are needed to be put in place to foster a more strong European innovation ecosystem. The outputs of our work can be as simple as listing, after being identified, listing emerging, disruptive, or critical technologies for a specific field or for a specific policy challenge. And as I just mentioned, we also try to identify those contextual factors, so enabling conditions, drivers, opportunities, and challenges that are needed to put in place. And when our work is quite successful, we can actually provide policy implications for policymakers for reflection and to support the policy cycles. We have a wide range of tools and methods connected with foresight that we have adapted to the specific work related with technology. You're probably familiar with most of them: horizon scanning, megatrends analysis, scenarios, even more speculative ones such as design futures. We have been mainly using in this context horizon scanning and participatory workshops, such as the examples that I'm going to now show. Our main work has been in the last 2 years with the European Innovation Council on the project Anticipe-Innov and the successor that is currently running Future-Innov. And for ones that don't know, the European Innovation Council is the European Union's flagship to identify, develop, and scale up breakthrough innovations and game-changing innovations. So in summary, it is a funding mechanism, but that has a bigger role on developing also specific innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystems across several areas. They have a specific challenge of covering almost all maturity levels of technologies. So since low TRLs to high TRLs, they have funding instruments for all of them. And this actually brings an additional challenge for the JRC when providing them support in technology foresight, because we have to cover things that are still in concept stage to things that are sometimes really close or already in the market. One important thing of our work with the European Innovation Council is that we work with program managers. So they are divided in 10 portfolios, and we work directly with the program managers, so supporting them in defining the funding priorities for the next stages. We also benefit from their expertise on the field. So the methodology that we have used mainly, as I mentioned, for this project is the horizon scanning, so an exploratory and qualitative approach for early discovery of developments. We are mainly trying to see things that are not fully on the radar of decision makers and assess and prioritize those signals of novelty in all TRLs, such as I mentioned. And we do this, and I'm going to explain in more detail the process. I know that we are short on time, so I will quickly go through it and be available for your questions even after the session. But we mainly support this in external expertise. Not that we inside the JRC and the Commission don't have technologies expertise, but we want to also burst a little bit the bubble of our own knowledge and try to understand across many different actors in the science and innovation field, ranging from academia to industry, coming from other policy-making cycles, also industry representatives and associations, and even outside academia, research and technology organizations. We try to gather this multi-stakeholder expertise to support our processes. And as I mentioned, in this particular case, we are supporting the European Innovation Council Strategic Intelligence, not only for their internal and external reports, but mainly in our main goal is to support or be one of the pieces of information that is used when defining or prioritizing funding topics for their challenges and other types of calls. Our process is composed by mainly 4 steps. So the expert selection, the preparation for workshops, the workshop itself, and the post-workshop. As I mentioned in the expert selection, we try to have as many types of perspectives in the exercise as possible, not only to provide us signals of change on emerging technologies and breakthrough innovations, but also to discuss them in online or in-person workshops. And on the pre-workshop stage, we collect a lot of information, not only from the signals of change that are collected by and submitted by the experts that are invited for the workshops themselves, but also through an extensive literature review that we develop here as well at the Joint Research Center, and also on data and text mining that looks into signals on patents, publications, and previously funded projects. This is information from the past, because they have been published or submitted as patents, or they correspond to projects that are already funding. But we have been finding out that they can work as proxies for future developments, especially at more advanced stages of the innovation cycle or stage. This is just an example how we collect signals of change. They are normally very short texts that show an interesting development of a specific technology or a combination of technologies. And this is the kind of information that we work with. The literature review that is done by our own team tries to look as many diverse and not only generalistic, but also specific types of reports, and trying to gather the know-how that a significant number of organizations ranging from other public institutions, but also to think tanks, international organizations, consultancies working on generalistically in technology, but also consultancies that are working on specific technologies. And we do this to capture a multi-perspective mosaic of what is actually going on the field of emerging technologies, but also to avoid our own blind spots and our own internal expertise. This is just one of the examples of our data and text mining. So we basically try to see what trends inside publications of specific areas have been surging on the last 2 years. So if a topic has been heavily researched and published in the last 10, that doesn't provide us an interesting topic. We want to see the things that actually in the 2 to 3 last years are actually growing up in interest, because, as I mentioned, that is in itself a sign that technology or innovation or a specific type of material could be interesting for the EIC in itself. The workshop is composed by 2 or 3 main stages. So there we have groups, smaller groups discussions, where experts actually take into account all the signals that we collect from the sources that I just mentioned, and try to prioritize them into topics that they consider more important for the development of their areas. Then we have stages on plenary, where we debrief on this work, we compare the group's results, and we try to come up with the final top 10 list of topics inside of a specific technology or policy domain. And then we look at as well into contextual factors, such as drivers, enablers, and barriers to complement this information. Just a couple of screenshots. We mainly conduct these sessions online. because they are actually easier to set up. They have their limitations, of course. An online conversation is never as rich as an in-person conversation, but this has allowed us to conduct more or less 20 workshops so far in the last 2 years, from the previous project to the ongoing project. And just some of the examples that we have prioritized with the help of experts from, in this case, from 4 different areas on quantum technology, space systems and technologies, agriculture and food, and also responsible electronics. As you see, it's a quite diverse set of areas, but we have, with these workshops, actually identify new topics that are currently being funded by the European Innovation Council. So in supporting researchers and startups on areas that are quite strategic and promising for the European Union. On the post-workshop, we try to analyze all the information covered. Of course, the primary objective, as I mentioned several times, it is to support the funding priorities of the EIC, but we also try to take this information to other uses, namely to support certain policy initiatives that are often set in motion here inside. And we also publish these results after a few months. And this is actually in the screenshot of the cover of the report we published last September, if I'm not mistaken, with the summary of the first 8 workshops. In total, for this work, we captured more than 1,000 signals, and we narrowed them down to 58 priorities. And we also were able to identify cross-cutting topics across these many different areas that range from agriculture to quantum technologies. And what we are seeing here now, it doesn't come as a surprise if you're working on the field, but actually it's important to support these claims with the data that we collected here, is that robotics and automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, bioengineering and material science are actually emerging as significant across these all these areas. There are also 3 main areas of challenges for the development of these technologies. Sustainability and energy are one of them, and also the challenges related with the scalability, not only through the engineering challenges of scaling up technologies, but also the financial challenges that startups face when trying to develop their solutions. As a byproduct of this work, we have published also just a subset of signals that we have captured through the literature review. They have a different editorial perspective. They're actually been curated by our team itself, and they have a less technical and a more horizontal approach than the report that I showed before. It's more fitted for broader audiences. They have also allowed us to identify areas that the European Innovation Council didn't cover, and that could be interesting for them to redesign their portfolio set. And I will invite you, if you're more curious, to find out about these reports. While we were doing this work, there was a lot of reflection on methodologies that actually took us to invite 6 leading experts on technology foresight methodology. So we published a 3rd report last year that might be of your interest, that looks into the specific case of technology foresight for public funding of innovation, but through 6 different methodologies, and then a final chapter, or an initial chapter in this case, on how they could be combined to strengthen up this kind of work. I had a second example of a project, but being mindful of time, I will advance you. The slides will be available to all of them. It's a more comprehensive scenario that, as you can see here for the diagram, took more steps, and it looked into a specific set of technologies that are of dual use, so crossing not only civil uses but also space and defense. And that highlighted 4 different technologies: quantum communications, nuclear microreactors, integrated photonics, and in-orbit servicing through space platform that actually supports current initiatives on these areas. I will finish by actually sharing firsthand some signals of our ongoing work, and this is actually the upcoming report that we plan to publish in the next couple of weeks. You're actually going to be the first ones outside of the team seeing these signals. But the reason why I do so is to connect them with the topic of Industry 5.0. So we are seeing a significant number of signals that actually follow up on some of the pillars and the trends that are behind science Industry 5.0, namely the human-centric approach, the sustainability and resilience dimensions, also a strong customization and personalization that are being demanded by everything that is put on the market, and a significant technology integration. So right now, where we are seeing is that innovation not only is about developing new technologies, but also innovative combinations of already known technologies. So technology integration, or using technologies that have been developed for a specific field, for instance, from developed for health being applied on the agri and food sector. It's something interesting. So I will just quickly share some of the signals that we'll be publishing soon. There has been a huge hype on AI. Of course, we are seeing AI everywhere. But one interesting dimension in the connection of AI with the mobility sector, it's this important role on also driving some sustainability of the supply chain. So it has been or can have the potential to allow the manufacturers to have a more responsible and controlled supply chain, looking into environmental and social risks. Also on the security part, and of course, we always connect AI and mobility with self-driving cars, and we have seen that they are not always that safe. But AI at the factory level could allow for multiple simulations, and that would not be possible on road tests. So we're seeing also an interesting uptake from mobility manufacturers on this dimension. Another interesting signal that we captured is DNA traceability for food authenticity, and also a promising developments of technologies that are cheaper and more accessible to actually mainstream this kind of tools that will allow us to not only, assure that food is safe, but also to trace back from where the components of the food itself comes from, and by doing so, the compliance with ESG regulations. Another example, more technology, or in this case, not as technology as expected, and I will explain why this is our analysis, is the use of new solutions to reduce the power consumption of electronics. And this is actually one that captured our attention of Internet of Things devices that actually communicate with no electronics at all. We have been seeing things that actually demand low or no energy, but without electronics is something that actually was quite new. It is not something completely innovative, but recent developments have allowed us to see a potential widespread in the next years of these kind of solutions. Another one quite interesting that we captured is the biofoundries to speed up the bioeconomy. And biofoundries mainly could provide interesting or easily accessible facilities for the prototyping of biodesigns prior to any scale up, and which could democratize in a way the access to this kind of facilities, and not limiting them to bigger companies that have the capacity to invest. Also, a significant number of signals on new ways to produce energy, and then to produce lower emission fuels and chemicals. Quite interesting. And I'll end up with a challenge related to AI that we saw. And this is something that also made us reflect on as much regulations and standards that we can put for AI. We all have to be aware as well on the ones that try to get around this regulations. So in this case was a signal related with ethically challenged pirate AI models and how they can be used to actually get around the regulations that are currently in place, normally the recently approved AI Act. And I'm sorry for overrunning my time. I'll be happy to take some questions either still on the session or afterwards. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Joe, for this very interesting presentation. We see there's a lot going on the European level. So very interesting. I'm opening up now to the discussion because we have unfortunately run a bit late in time. So are there any questions from the audience to any of the speakers? Of course, not only to the last one. Okay, feel free to use the chat or the microphone. I think we're a discipline group, so we can also use the mics. Maybe I'm starting with just one question. We've seen that there are a lot of initiatives, a lot of projects on European level, on national level, member states level, and there's a lot of rich work going on in terms of scientific development and also work with industry. I've seen in quite some of these examples. So my question is, how do we integrate this human aspect into the technology work? How do we take the human into account when we develop and work on emerging technologies? Any of the speakers, feel free to speak up from your side.
Yeah, maybe I have a comment on that.
Please.
So when from the perspective of engineer, often we design the technology without a consideration of the end user. Now, for example, I was talking about the fragile population. Some projects, they can end up developing the technology for the, for example, for the geriatric population. And at the very end, when they already have a solution, they test it with a geriatric population, which would be the opposite from including this person in the design, from making it like person-centered. And the approach that we adopting, it's iterative approach in the way that the design is done by engineer, but together with medical partners and together with the end user. So with regular loops, regular meetings where we can understand what actually needed by end user and the clinicians in order to implement this design and then implement it. So it's initiative should come from the end user in order to design something for end user.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. Thank you, Alexei. It's true that indeed, especially for the healthcare, it's very important to take into account the user and especially the patient. So very good. Maybe from one of the other speakers, maybe Cecilia, I recall that you said you do also a lot of work on education aspect. Is that where you take into account the human aspect, or do you do anything with, like, say, the population in addition?
Well, we do. I would say that, I mean, the time didn't allow for, I mean, you ask a lot of very smart questions from the Forge project, so thank you for that. But if you ask, you know, if you dig deeper in all of our programs, you would find, I think, a lot of interfaces between humans. And I mean, I'm listening into the others with the healthcare perspective and others. There's a lot of human factor there. The whole innovation space is of course human based. In Production 2030, it was funny because we did a workshop with 250 people from industry and research when we started in 2013, and then we got millions of post-its, and then we massaged all that into 6 areas of challenge areas that we wanted to work on these coming 12 years. And funny enough, they were very similar to the ones that you're working on. So it means that, you know, the scope of where you want to be in the future as a company, as an industry company, doing, you know, being competitive, being innovative, having high skills, all of those things, it entails that you have to reach into resource efficiency, flexibility, using data and AI tools and all that, but also work with human-machine interface, which is sort of always ubiquitous. And then you have the circularity and some other areas. But there's a lot of, you know, if you have the visions ahead of you, they will all look quite similar, I think. And that's good to know. And it must be wonderful for the JRC representative here to see that anywhere, sorry, in Europe, where you ask these complex questions, you will get same approach, same kind of goals that you have.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Cecilia. I see Sonja also raised your hand.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with my colleagues that I think it's today's way of designing new solutions, of like starting out with a human-centric way. But in addition, from FAIR, we offer these human AI interaction test environments and services. So all of the companies who are wondering whether or not their own platform or services is functional and feasible from the human AI interaction perspective, they can come and test it and then refine and take the new knowledge into their development work.
Okay, yeah, very good. Thanks a lot, Silvia. So maybe a question to Christina, because we have seen in your presentation that your development was also very closely interlinked to this Interact Europe project. So there seems to be a lot of linkage between national initiatives, also European initiatives. We've seen that also in some of the other experts' presentations. So how does that align from your perspective? Are the national initiatives and the European strategies closely interlinked, or did you see that there can be quite some disparities?
No, I think it's well aligned, and I agree with all the interventions made by the previous speakers in terms of human-centric interactions. At the end of the day, I mean, we work with technology, and we have to provide solutions for humans. And as much as we use this interaction with machines and devices and services, the best, because we are the one who has to decide whether it's acceptable or not to use ethically the technology that we work with. And yeah, and I think it's very well taken in consideration. Also, from my experience in drones, public acceptance, for instance, is key for this sector to blossom. And yeah, I would say that.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot. Maybe question to João. Well, there are a lot of European strategies, of course, and we have seen this shift from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0. So how do you feel the Commission is supporting the alignment to your European strategies, member state strategies, and also this acceptance by European citizens? Like, are we ready for this?
Yes, at the Commission, we also struggle with a significant number of initiatives and priorities that we set up. And in the work of technology foresight, we try to map them against the signals of new that some of them I just shared with you, to try to understand how the technology that is being produced these days would actually is in line with those strategies, and what are the missing gaps of those strategies as well. So this is in our humble part of the process here at the Competence Center on Foresight. That's where we are specifically focused. And of course, we are only supporting with the main example on the IC, one part of the funding efforts that are actually done across not only even not going outside of the European Commission. So better anticipation mindsets are needed to support the other funding mechanisms in our understanding here. But also, I think these kind of foresight methods should be later disseminated in member states' national and regional initiatives, in the sense that they could help to not only fund the right technologies right now, but also to steer at early stages of how those technologies might seem. And the user or human centricity is just one of the many dimensions that this new concept of the Industry 5.0 brought. There's this whole other responsibility, especially on the supply chain, that actually needs to be brought. And it's not only the classical environmental sustainability, but also the social sustainability. And just to finish, one of the examples is the sourcing of raw materials that we need for all this technology. And one interesting set of signals that we have been capturing is also innovations that reduce our dependency, the European Union's dependency on those raw materials that we don't have here, so we can have more responsible socially and environmental supply chains for the technologies that we are developing. So this is just one of the areas that we try to pursue with our work as well.
Okay, yeah, great. Thanks a lot for that. Also, maybe whilst we're setting up a last slide, did you remind you of the forum of experts that we are having in Forging, and where we would like to invite you, everyone from the audience, to become a member, because we work very closely with experts from very different profiles and horizons. We are going to organize also a follow-up workshop with regard to this one, where we aim at bringing especially policy authorities to discuss from their perspective how we can align between EU member states and European initiatives. Barbara, the floor is yours to just give a final word on the expert forum.
Yes, very good. So if you are interested in participating in our activities and joining the forum, if you think that forging is attractive for you and is a platform that you find interesting to participate, you can join. So firstly, we have this LinkedIn page where you can just sign up and be involved. And we also have a section on the website, so where you can sign up in the community of experts. Because of course we want to bring also all kinds of stakeholders, as we said before. So of course the technology providers, but also the academia, the industry, and also the social society.
Thanks a lot, Barbara. Indeed, we work a lot with different experts, and this is like the core of the Forging project, this co-creation with the different experts. So feel free to check out the links. We are also going to send them again, of course, in our wrap-up email together with the slides, so you can easily find the access. And we're having a lot of interesting activities coming up, different kind of workshops. So we are going to share this in the slides as well, of course. And feel free to register to our upcoming workshops. One is taking place in June, so very soon. Rich opportunities coming up. So thanks a lot again to all our speakers. It was very interesting to see these different perspectives. Thanks a lot to all of you, and also, of course, to the audience for your attention. And we look forward to having you involved in our project. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.